Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome along to this very special session with myself, Vishad, the Mindset Transformer, and John Hunter. Actually, John, why don't you introduce yourself rather than me?
Okay, thank you very much. Much of a pleasure to be here. My name's John Hunter. I'm a life coach with TCM and I've worked in mental health for over 26 years,
Wow.
from children to EMI, so all ages, acute admissions, LD, ASD, acute admissions, you name it. I've worked there and I've loved it. So I've recently done like I say, my accreditation in coaching, and I am looking at specialising in anxiety and depression, which is what I have, and I'm not ashamed to put that out there because I want to own it, and I want to help people to own what they've been told they've been diagnosed with. Own it. It's not an issue. It's not a label. It is just something that has happened. It's an emotional state that has just happened.
Brilliantly put. And on the back of that, the reason why we're here, as you may have seen on the adverts or promos for this for chat, is simply about men's mental health. Now, off the bat, I'll say this is not meant to be a sexist based debate. It's not men versus women saying we suffer more than them and this kind of thing.
No, not
We're
at all.
merely here we're merely here to say that at the end of it, we're all human beings. Beyond even the gender types, whatever you identify as, we're human beings. But there may be things that are symptomatic towards men more than women, which we're just here to shed more light on in the hope of helping or inspiring anyone that reads or hears this to invite them into spaces where they feel comfortable sharing. Because I don't know about you, John, but from my perspective at the moment, I see women being a lot more braver or forthright in saying this. Not to say that men aren't. There are definitely some men like yourself out there doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But we wanted to highlight that there may be some, as I say, male specific patterns or things that we hear. I labelled in a post that I did, to promote this, that, there are sayings in our heads that say, I'm a man, I shouldn't feel like this. Or if we open up with our friends that we say, guys, I'm feeling a bit hurt or a bit sad, they go, I'll move on, mate, what you want about you, whatever. Or simply things like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And it comes from a male orientated space of like, no, I'm a man, I shouldn't display these kind of emotions. So we just wanted to have a free ranging chat about what all that means, how we can revisit them, and hopefully help and inspire those that are watching.
100%. And the thing is, with this conversation we're going to have, it's not what I say is true. It's not.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
my interpretation. And yes, I may be wrong on some things. I may be right on some things. But we're not going out there to offend or belittle anybody at all.
Yeah.
I just want people to know, if you are suffering from any sort, I have anxiety and depression, and I consider myself quite lucky because I've had so much support from my boss, people at work, friends, and some of my family. I'm one of the lucky ones. There's no end around that. But there are people out there that get given, yes, you've got anxiety, depression, you've got this mental health, you've got that issue. And the thing is, yes, it's not nice to hear. But who's to stipulate that a male cannot go around and talk about it to their friends or their loved ones? Who's to say we have to be the provider? Who says we have to be the tough ones all the time? It's so not true. Times change.
Perfectly put. And I was just reading some of my notes for the session here that I read on the Mental Health Foundation website that where essentially do these patterns etc. come from? Where did it become like a male orientated form of anxiety or depression or whichever versus a female one? And what they said for men is, as you mentioned, that men are often expected to be the breadwinners and to be strong, dominant, and in control. You know, you could look at etymology reasons for that. You know, from our ancestors. You know, going back that far. You know, being the dominant species or gender or what have you, and you know, it goes on to say that whilst these aren't inherently bad things, they can make it harder for men to reach out for help and to open up. And I think that's where, you know, your first clues are. You mentioned that, you know, hearing, you know, diagnoses from whoever it might be isn't the most pleasant thing, but what I've, you know, learning more and observing is that it can strike anybody at any
100%.
point, and it's also not something that is easily recognizable. It can be a slow repeating pattern over time that you just go about your day with because that's all you know. So, you know, whether that's typical reactions to something that's, you know, naturally occurring, but then you think, wait, why did I react like that? Or it could, you know, things that again are male, you know, orientated or portrayed, things like rage. People mistake things like anger and rage. You know, I make a point in my coaching space that anger is actually a helpful emotion. When people might go, how can anger be helpful? Everyone gets scared and, you know, all that kind of thing when that happens. But really, if you revisit the idea that anger can be viewed in two ways of, firstly, it's suppressed rage, where, you know, the times you go, right, I can't say anything, I've got to bite my tongue, you know, it doesn't look good, until you can't hold it in any longer and you burst out. You can either be overt rage, you know, shouting, swearing, throwing things, you know, all that kind of stuff, or it could be covert rage, you know, passive aggressive silences, body language, sarcasm. But also you could view anger as what I call a heating element. It's using anger to hide, you know, misunderstood or colder emotions like grief or sadness or embarrassment. So when a guy's talking to his friends, for example, if he says in, you know, a bar or a pub or whatever, guys, you know, I'm feeling hurt or sad, like I said, they might take the piss out of him. Like, oh, look at him, snowflake, you know, move on, you know, that's life and all this kind of stuff. Versus if a guy said, guys, I'm pissed off, then Lars like, what's up with you? And it's more of a relatable conversation.
Yeah.
So, you know, like John, as you mentioned, that there's no right or wrong answer here per se, but it's just giving, I guess, another perspective on how something we naturally feel is okay. Because you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes I see a lot of the messaging from other places is the idea that just flip everything to it's okay. What I call toxic positivity. You know,
100%. Well said.
Almost to the extent of deny what you feel and feel something else quick. And I think that also contributes to the idea of, well, where us as males may be predominantly thinking of, right, I should just not say it in the face because I'm a man, regardless of what I've been through. We then hear from everyone else around us like, oh, you know, you should feel this, you shouldn't feel that, and all this kind of thing. So we're like, okay, what I'm naturally feeling doesn't seem to be acceptable, so I better repress that.
But like we said before, who says it's not acceptable? And I'm not slating anything or anyone or any company, but you got to look at social media.
100%.
100%. We all use it. We all put it out there. Some people put their feelings out there on social media, and then you get these, how can I put it? Keyboard warriors.
Yes.
That start trolling these people and putting comments. And to me, the best thing you can do, they'll have their comments. But does their opinion really, really matter to you in that state of mind? No, it doesn't. It does not matter if they're your friend, they're your family, your work colleague. When you put it out there and say, yes, I've been diagnosed with this, I've been diagnosed with that, this is why I've been acting how I have been.
Yeah.
I've been acting angry, I've been acting sad, I've been acting withdrawn. And you put it out there, that is a time when you find out who your true friends are. Because your true friends, they will care, but they won't care what is wrong with you. They will be there for you. And they'll come up to you, how are you today? What's going on? Why the hell did you say that to that person? That didn't warrant that. And it's just those simple, easily asked questions. Why? Why? It's one of the biggest questions, and I've been asked hundreds of times this, and it's just like, it actually gets you think, well, why did I say that? And it's just, it is hard to put it out there, and it is hard to express how you feel, what's going on, because of, like you say, men are supposed to be the breadwinners, men are this, and in the 20s, and the women stay at home, the men go to work, and
Stereotypes.
yeah, stereotypes, 100%, and it needs to change. I would open up to any bloke that comes to me and said, excuse my language, I feel like shit, I've got this going on. Okay, let's go for a coffee. Talk in your own time. Tell me what's going on. I'm here for you.
And that's the thing, giving that space to someone, not to go, right, I will tell you what to do, or unsolicited advice, which I know a lot of people mean well by. When, it's a friend or family member or whomever reaches out to us, we all have an inclination to go, right, here's what to do. Even though the person opposite hasn't asked you the question. We all do it. We all mean well by it. But simply sometimes holding the space for someone to just talk does a lot for that person. And going back to what you were saying about social media, it's a absolutely brilliant point, because we all use social media for various needs. Some of us, have it as an integral part of our business to try and, attract clients or this kind of thing. Some use it for the core human need of love and connection, so connection to other people, and significance. You want to feel that you are someone, and you get that from validation from people, from likes of posts or emojis or comments, and it suddenly becomes a numbers game. How many followers do I have? What trend am I following? What trend am I setting? So there's immediate pressure, whether you're a boy or a girl or a man or a woman, to live up to certain strategies, behaviors. Social media is a very mixed bag, whatever platform you might be on. But to use social media as an example, I know recently, was about a week or so ago, the footballer Dele Alli came out and talked about his struggles with mental health. Now, he's been derided recently for just dropping off a cliff form-wise. I'm no Tottenham supporter, but I know that everyone looked to him and said, "Oh, he's where's he gone to?" And he's disappeared and down the drain, this kind of thing. And when he shared his story more, and even though I've not fully read into it, but from what I'm hearing about it, it was him having to share his story about what he went through as a child, and then growing up, and addictions to certain things and this kind of stuff. But he also introduced the idea that he had to share it because of the pressure he was put under from certain media outlets, which I won't name. That pressurized him into saying, "Look, we know you went to, say, rehab or a clinic," which in its own has stigmatism, because you're only trying to get help for yourself, and yet some scum of a newspaper, there's a clue, have gone, right, I will put the story out there. So he's like, right, before this gets out of hand, I'll share it. So even then, the idea that you're courageous enough to admit something, which is a first step, and then to go seek your own help, is then derided on by the media. So media plus social media, which, look, we're not all celebrities, that's fine, but in our own spaces, we can ask ourselves, do we have the worry of what are other people going to think if I say I am anxious or depressed or even having suicidal thoughts?
Yeah.
There's various stats out there about male suicide in England and in the UK, that it's a very deep and worrying problem on the rise.
And male suicide is on the rise, unfortunately.
Indeed.
And it's just something, since I've been diagnosed, with help from my manager, who I think's amazing, but I won't say her name. I read a story not so long back, and I won't say where I saw it or what place I read it from, but a male was diagnosed with a mental health condition, spoke to his partner about it. That partner ridiculed him. Basically, man up, you're a bloke, you should get over it. And unfortunately, not long after, he committed suicide because he literally felt belittled by somebody he loved. And this is what needs to change. Doesn't matter if you're a male, a
Yeah.
female, transgender, anything, what you recognise with, your partner is supposed to be there and to support you.
Absolutely. And it's what we said before. You're a human being. We all
Yeah.
get caught up in labels, you know, a parent, a sibling, an employee, a boss, a man, a woman. But beyond all that, we start at human. And I think
Yeah.
a lot has been lost nowadays if we don't treat each other like human beings. So, you know, thanks for sharing that story. What I heard there was the idea that, and again, it's something we all slip into because that's all we know, that when we say to people, so my coach had a great example of this. He said, for a start, depression and having suicidal thoughts is completely normal. Everybody in some form has them at some point. There are courageous few that have the want and the courage to speak up about it. But at the same time, what they actually hear, if they share that, is that you shouldn't feel depressed. You've got loads to live for and that kind of thing. Again, it means well, sounds good, but the actual message behind it could be interpreted as it's not acceptable to feel how you feel. So when they hear that, they're going, right, I'm already feeling shit because I feel depressed and anxious. But now I'm also hearing the message that it's not acceptable for me to feel like that. So it adds to already how I'm feeling. And again, it's something that, yeah, as you said, if we can get away from that, the idea that just hold the space and say, whatever you feel is actually okay.
And
It's
this is
such
the
a small thing, but significant step.
Oh, 100%. And people need to think before they speak to somebody that opens up to them. Oh, you don't look depressed.
Yeah.
Oh, I've not seen you. You've never looked.
What's that meant to look like, you know? Like
Exactly. Oh, you don't look like you've got that condition, or you've never behaved like that. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Look at, sad to say, but look at Robin Williams. Amazing actor.
Perfect
Great.
example.
And then all of a sudden it happened.
And hardly anyone knew.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a scary thought. It's the ones that we don't know, that you know have been diagnosed, but they don't act like, as the stereotypical people say, they don't act like they've got depression, they don't act like they've got this condition. That is a scary thing. They're the people that we need to look after and get to open up more.
And just to add on that, is, you know, we're talking obviously about maybe how to recognize symptoms, etc. You know, we're not trying to make this a diagnostic thing, but
No.
I guess the one great step to aid this and move this along is just asking people with a genuine sense of, how are you feeling? As try to question as it might be, to me, if someone hears that, it's an invite for them to share. Now, whatever they share is then up to them. It is a crucial balance between, I'm giving you the space if you'd like to, and I'm not, you know, here's the thing, things like how you feeling or be kind to yourself have maybe been sort of bastardized to make it seem too twee. Oh, how you feeling, you know, sunshine and rainbows, and you've got this, you're a warrior, you're a goddess, you're a lioness, you're a whatever you want to put in. That's all well and good. I get the meaning behind that. That's all good. Because, you know, it's the idea of like affirmations and things like that. But what we're trying to say here is that these are symptoms that you can look beyond. Like being a warrior or a goddess or lioness or whatever you want to put in is somewhere where you can get to. But for someone to just instantly go as if to say, oh yeah, that's what I was missing, I'll just be a warrior or a whatever. Like,
yeah.
And first point is like, ask yourself how you're feeling and being the honest. Rather, take away the suppression, the repression of like, I'm going to look like an idiot or I look like ill-informed or naive or whatever it might be, and then just feel free to share.
Exactly. And you might go to that first step, how you feeling, how you doing, and half the time they'll say, yeah, I'm all right, or
that's it, not bad, thanks.
But I find this is my personal opinion, and
Yeah.
it's not fact,
Mm.
but I sometimes, what's going on? What's on your mind?
Yeah. I like it. What's
And
on your
then,
mind? Literally. Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm feeling shit because this is going on. Well, expand on that. What do you mean? What do you mean? Just trying those little questions to open them up a bit more. And once you've
100%.
had that little conversation, and just let them know, wow, that was a powerful conversation. You must feel so happy with yourself. No, happy is the wrong word. Sorry. So pleased that you've actually managed to say what you've said in that difficult situation.
Very much so. It's in fact, it's a clue to give yourself credit. A lot of the
Yes.
times these things come about from, if we go back to a typical male stereotype where this originates from, that, we take achievement or what we do in our stride, that we don't focus on what we get, done or achieve or accomplish. Right, what didn't I do? What am I failing? What am I lacking? I come from an Indian background and a culture where it seems like the second you are born, you're in a race. Who's going to get the best degree? Who's going to get married first? Who's going to get a family first? Who's going to get a driving license first? Even though not just in your own family with siblings, it's your extended family, so your cousins and even people not in the same country as you. So again, coming from a well-meaning place of like being a high achiever so that you get security in life and all that, I know a little bit is underpinned by social image. The
Yeah.
idea that if you don't achieve one of the things on the master plan or the checklist, you better have a damn good reason why. And things like, well, I've got my own path or it doesn't work for me, whatever. You get, alarm bells ringing and then everybody's got an opinion and sticks their beak in and all this kind of thing. Contributing to the idea that if you don't achieve the checklist, you're not good enough. No matter what else you do, but if you've not got something on the checklist, you're not good enough. So now your self-worth is underpinned to that checklist. So no matter what you do, no matter how you feel, it comes back to your low self-worth that you're not good enough.
But who stipulates what is good enough?
This is it. It's an unwritten rule. It's the idea that we were raised by our primary caregivers, our parents, who got raised by our grandparents, who go back. People have an idea of like archetypes. Certain psychologists talk about, archetypes, the templates that we pass down, characters, our backgrounds, cultures, stereotypes. It's like an unwritten manual of like, right, our folks will bring us up the best they know. So, teaching us the basics. Yeah, absolutely. This is not a blame game. This is nowhere are we saying, right, it's your fault and that's it. I make the case that where we distinguish that, well, at the moment we have the solution, if you will, of it's okay to feel what you feel. So what I mean by that is that every emotion you feel at its heart is actually neutral. We're the ones ourselves that said this is positive and this is negative. So on this one side we have, right, I should feel things like, gratitude, happiness, joy, whatever this thing. Whereas on the side of like anger, embarrassment, grief, hurt, no, I don't want that. But we made those things. Now, where did they come from? Well, it's when we as kids will display every emotion they have naturally. Kid doesn't care who's around them. It doesn't second guess going, hang on, people around me, I better not do it. They will just burst in whatever emotion they're feeling. And instantly as caregivers, we go, don't cry, don't shout, don't be angry. Now in our heads, our little heads, so we're going, right, I just felt something natural, like crying, and I just got told, don't cry. Now, if I don't listen to them, I might die because they're meant to look after me and I can't look after myself yet. So they might not look after me if I don't do the things they say. Well, I better not do that thing again, so I'm going to put that away. Now, that's your first negative emotion. And by and by, you build upon it in the same manner until you get this. And if you don't do anything with it, that's how you run through life. And again, are males susceptible to certain emotions or behavior repression than females? Maybe. We've heard the phrase be a man used at all sorts of levels. It might be a stern father figure or whomever telling to their kids to be ultra masculine, if you will. So again, we might be sensitive in nature, but we're kind of told to be not like that, repress that, and I don't know what they're looking for, to be the next Ray Winston or something like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know,
And the thing is, it's like you might get bullied at school and you come back and tell your parent and you get told, well, you need to go back there and when he starts again, beat him up
fight, yeah.
and just carry on until you win.
Mm.
But why? But why? I found out from working on the doors that the best scenario is someone gets in your face. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Okay. Then what? Then this and that. Okay. Okay. Then what? And that's it. They've got nothing. And it's just dissolved. And you don't have to be the tough guy all the time. Who says you can't be that person? I'm feeling really vulnerable. I'm feeling 100%. Really down. I'm feeling really insecure. I'd be like, that is frigging amazing. Can you tell me more? Forget everything else. Talk to me. Let's go for a coffee. Let's go for, not for a beer, but you know what I mean. Let's go for a drink.
Yeah, whichever. Yeah.
Tell me what you need to tell me.
I love that simple two-worded question. I think it's universal. Then what? Not to downplay what's going to happen or whatever. I mean, you used it in a confrontational sense to diffuse a situation. That's perfect. But what I'm referring to is like simple question like, okay, and how would that feel? So it invites people to work things through. Because sometimes our mind, as people would have probably heard, defaults to the negative straight away. That's how it's neurologically wired. Now, unfortunately, we can't go in and rewire it, but what we can do is give ourselves new possibilities by going, right, we might think of any scenario that we have going on. You know, I don't know, let's say an upcoming interview or exam or whatever it might be. And we go, fucking hell, I'm going to fail this, or I'm going to be rubbish, or I'm not good enough, or
that sounds so like me on every exam.
Right. Yeah, and you just convince yourself that no matter what practice I do or whatever, I just don't get it. I'm an idiot. I'm thick or whatever. Again, I go back to my coaching experience. My coach shared the story about trying stand-up comedy for the first time, and he thought about all the possibilities of, like, you know, can I do this? Are they gonna laugh? So he said, right, I basically gave myself an opportunity to go, right, of all the scenarios that could happen, what's the worst thing that could happen? With the exception of literally having some out-of-body experience on stage where you actually die, what's the worst thing? So he went through, right, they could find me not funny, they might heckle me, I might forget my jokes, I might stumble on them. He goes, but the thing I thought that could be the worst thing is I shit myself. I stand on stage and I void my bowels. And then immediately like, oh shit, I would not want that to happen. I'd be mortified, I'd be embarrassed, I'd be this. And then he said, but then hang on. What the possibility is there is now the audience have got a funny joke to tell their mates going, yeah, I went to see a comedian, he shut himself. And then now I've got a joke for my next routine. Like on my first gig, I shat myself on stage. So he also went, well, how likely is that to happen? Now, he could have had something very dodgy to eat beforehand, so it's not zero, it's very minor. But he goes, but what else could happen is they could find me funny, I get comfortable, I get confident, I want to do it again. So he's like, all those possibilities are open. So he said, when you're comfortable with the worst thing that could happen in a scenario. So say in your example, or my example before, I have an interview and I might fail it. Okay, it could happen. I don't want it to happen. I'm not precluding it to happen, saying this is going to happen. But it's the idea that, okay, that could happen, and it's not the end of the world. Often I think we link our achievements, especially as a guy, maybe to outcomes. I've got to be the breadwinner, so I've got to have a job. I've got to be able to drive a car. You know, just to go off tangent slightly here, I see it in, you know, I'm single at the moment, and, you know, often people talk about, you know, what you've got to be as a man. You've got to be fit, you've got to be driving, you've got to be this. It's like, defined by who?
Yeah, exactly. Why? Who? Who says that?
So when you, funny enough, when I put the question back, they said, "Oh, you should do it for you. You got to do it for you." It's like, and what angle are you coming to that from? Are you coming to that from the idea of like, well, I'm married, and I've got kids. This guy doesn't. So, how can I weave the situation to my liking? And you're like, okay, I get it. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to denigrate anybody. And it's funny when I speak to them of like, okay, I'm trying to practice more the idea of like, there is no right or wrong answer. But ultimately what I do and think and feel and behave is my responsibility.
It's not yours.
It's not yours. And I'm not saying that, right, I'm never going to listen to anybody again and that I know everything. That will never happen. I'm always a student. There's no like last page of a book, last track of an album, last level of a video game. Nothing like that. You're always going to be learning. You'll always be a student. But rather than just like listen to everybody's advice and input and go, right, I'll do it because of that. I've come back to the own question of, what do I want? And I think maybe as males we sometimes forget that because we're predefined to thinking, right. I guess it correlates a little bit with how maybe women feel. As a mum, they're like, I've got to put my kids first. Before my own needs. I've got to be the one that makes the effort in a relationship if it's not moving along, and all this.
And then it comes back to who says that? Who
Exactly.
said you had to do that? Why? Yeah. And this is the thing when a bloke gets that courage, and it is hard for some people. 100% is really hard because you're worried about, well, what if they say that? What if they say this?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So what? What if they do say that? Does it stipulate that you're wrong? No one knows you better than you.
I love that.
100%. Don't care if you're a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist. No one knows you and your thoughts better than you. You can have people to vent to talk to, 100%. But no one can tell you you're not a man. No one can tell you you're not being very manly.
As come back to what I said, what does that even mean?
I was just going to say that. Exactly. And there are people out there that will listen to you. And the times you'll struggle are the times you find out who your friends are. 100%.
I would even add that further, that like, and this is hard, right? Maybe nobody knows or wants to listen. Not on purpose, but we're all in that. Like, so I would say about 4 weeks ago, I made a list of people in my life that I'm waiting to hear back from in all capacities. So, customer services of companies, other coaches, potential clients, potential dates, family. That list came to about 40 to 60 people. Where I'd left the conversation of like, it's their natural response of like, it might be a question, it might be a proposal, it might be whatever, but 40 to 60 people. And I literally went, what the fuck is going on? Why aren't these cunts replying to me? In the moment, I felt it's like, whomever they are. But it's like, what it came down to is I didn't feel listened to. And that was something that pulled at my self-worth. Maybe as a guy, especially in say the singleton world, we're like, okay, it's still, again, society dictates that the man should make the moves, the questions, the blah blah blah.
No,
right, exactly. And it's only when I went, you know what? I took a moment, paused, and went, okay, I accept how I feel. It's okay. It is okay to get pissed off at whomever. I can then take one step further and go, okay, they might be busy, whatever. But that's where I stop. Like, I'm not going to make excuses. Whatever they got going on, that's up to them. It's their responsibility. I can't control or influence that much as I think I'd want to or can. I don't. I can't. The only person I can control or be responsible for is me. So I've put my bid out there. If they come back, okay. If they don't, that's also okay. But that is hard to practice.
Yes, it is.
So I totally get what you're saying, that like there definitely are people out there that will listen, like the likes of yourself, right? You I
Yeah.
know you've got spaces that you're always a giving person that tries to hold it for people and share whatever capacity it is. That's brilliant. And I'm hoping that again people watch this or listen to this and share it with others so that they can help and all that kind of thing.
Please do so. Yeah.
Indeed. And but what I'm saying is, in your own space at the moment, if there is nobody, then absolutely, yeah, there's the likes of myself and John out there. But also, to build on what John said earlier about the only person that knows you is you, I would also add to say you have your answers already. All it may require is just being kind to yourself. This is where being kind to yourself actually comes into play. You will still make mistakes. You will still fuck up. You will still get it wrong. Everybody does. There is no one perfect person here that never gets anything wrong. You know, you might not think that, and you're not in a race. There's no fucking gold medal at the end of all this. There's no ledger to go,
Take it
you did this, you did that.
slowly.
Exactly. Take it at your own pace. But all I'm saying is like, being kind to yourself and being compassionate is a constant practice. But also, when you just ask yourself, okay, how come, you know, I'm reacting like that? There might be something behind that. And yeah, look, that could be augmented with work with a coach or whatever to explore that. But is again that balance, like, you know, people think that, say, like a counsellor or a therapist or whomever will give you the answers. What is wrong with me? You know, someone tell me. And if it helps by putting a label on it, then yeah, professionals might do that. Like, to even get the label of you've got anxiety or whatever it might be, that in itself might be, okay, that's what it is. Okay. But I don't know about you, John, but in my coaching relationships that I try and create, it's the idea that the person opposite leads it. Because I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to walk with you along the way. I called it path building together. And my coach called it a guaranteed treasure hunt.
Nice.
The treasure is there, but you're the one with the spade, not me. I've got the map, I've got the compass, I've got all that kind of gear, but you're the one that digs and looks.
Which way we go?
Exactly.
Like,
you lead it.
It's irrelevant if it's male, female, whatever.
Exactly.
I coached somebody not so long back, and they were saying this and saying that, and this is why I love the question why.
Yes.
And I was just asking that and that and that, and they turned and snapped at me, which was irrelevant because I'm not fucking happy. I said, there you go.
That's the answer.
That is
your answer. It's not rocket science. It's not some hidden enigma matrix based thing. The work feels like the Matrix, don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
that's it.
They couldn't see the light through the trees. But as soon as they said that, and I said, there you go. That is the obstacle. And
I guess what you may, I don't know if you saw it, but like they default to, no, it's not that, you know, they suddenly it's like it's like they've been caught out. It's like, wait, shit, I've been exposed. I better, you know, say that. No, you know, and
try and cover their answers. And it's
yeah,
it is fine. It's fine. I'm not happy at the minute. But you've just stipulated you are not happy for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. It is fine. It is acceptable. You've got no worries whatsoever. You've pinpointed an obstacle. Now we can work on that.
Have you ever seen, John, people get rushed into fixing themselves? So they might have had the courage to, first of all, take the first step of sharing. And then all of a sudden, as they're in the middle of sharing and putting those, I guess, truths out there, what they hear back is like, yeah. But how do we do it? What do we, you know, how do we fix it? I'm like, Hold on. Before we get there, you've not finished sharing yet. And when you share enough, actually, you'll find out what you need to do. And the funny thing is, what I observe sometimes is the idea that if you share, like, you know, I'm going to do it, you know, I came back to the idea of it's my responsibility of what to do. And if I ask myself, what do I want? If I don't want what people say that I should have or want, then that's okay. But the melon twisting that I see going on afterwards of like, they turn into that Little Britain character, you know. Yeah, but no, but yeah, but no, but you know, Vicky Pollard. You know, it's like, hang on, what? Eh?
Yeah.
And I sit there. It's like they're trying to emphasize the idea that, like, I heard something the other week when I was discussing it with family. I heard a comment of like, yeah, but Vish, you're not telling me anything, because I was just sharing out loud a little bit in this manner of, like, you know, my journey and this kind of thing. And all I heard back, like, one of the moments I heard back is like, yeah, but Vish, what are you telling me? Like, I don't get, like, it's like, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm not telling you that, you know, I'm meant to do something, you're meant to do something. It's like, this is what I think we're getting at. Just let people share.
And that is the biggest thing. And when they start to share, it doesn't matter if it's for a couple of seconds.
Correct.
Or 10 minutes. Give them, don't talk over them. Don't interrupt them.
Exactly.
Just let them talk and talk and talk. There will come a time when there is silence, and then you will realize, okay, I'm just going to say this to you, but it's okay. Or what about this? Or how about this approach? And don't, I see this so much and it annoys me. Don't look at them like you're judging them.
That's it.
Oh my God, that annoys me so much.
At what point can I interject? What point can I jump in and, like, become the expert and advice? Like, no.
Nobody's an expert.
No, they're absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Because I've come across many a time, it doesn't matter where I worked, whatever, we've had a situation and you've had the doctor talk to him, you've had the qualified nurse, you've had social workers, no one get through. We've had a brand new nursing assistant start and started speaking to this person. That's it. End of situation.
Just a simple conversation.
Yeah, simple conversation.
Wow.
Few words, and they just sat there and let them say what they wanted to say.
Right.
And we just said, right, she's taking the lead. If it goes wrong, we'll stand in, but this is her show. And
perfect.
Oh my God, it was like situation. You got goosebumps and everything from just watching that staff member talk to that service user, and the whole situation just turned around so quick.
Brilliant.
And that's what it is. Give them time. Let them say what they need to say. Doesn't matter if they're effing and blinded. Doesn't matter if they're
even better if they do.
That. Just let them say what they need to say, and when there's quiet time, then say your bit. But do not judge, because that annoys me. Do not give your opinion, because that's irrelevant. Offer them advice or help, or if they want services that are out there, offer to help find it. And that is all it is. Offer the help.
And, this is where the practice comes in of, like, don't feel you have to be the white knight. You don't have to keep going, have you done this? Have you done this? Let them sit with it. Let them be the leader on this thing. And obviously, as you check in, as and when you do, it shouldn't be like, have you done this yet? It's like, let them decide that and, take care of it. I speak from experience of the other of trying to fix everybody and trying to be the white knight, often to my own bloody detriment. Yeah, often to my own bloody detriment. It is practice, it is compassion, and speaking as a guy where you do naturally, just because of what you've picked up in your life from your environment, surroundings, people, relationships, wherever, males are having a typical stereotype that you're looking to not break down or that kind of thing, but it's like challenge, if you will, of like, okay, no, I don't need to be in this prescribed manner, you know, and what I say, do, think, and behave, regardless of what else I might be observing. And and people might be sitting here thinking, yeah, okay, this is all well and good, but what other bits can I be doing? And I want to share a thing that I found actually on a podcast actually that my coach does now. Funnily enough, he is a coach, but his podcast now is with a friend of his, and they talk about all manner of crap. Talk about crisps, stuff in the papers. So they're both Scousers. They're from Liverpool. They talk about fact of the day from anything. But the reason they talked about mental health on their recent episode, it was on the back of the Dele Alli story. And as I say, my coach is one of the hosts, and he talks about what he, I guess, would say or approach it in the coaching space. And he said a couple of questions that you can sort of basically ask yourself in terms of trying to progress, move a bit in your own time are, what am I doing right now that's good for me, and what am I doing right now that's bad for me? Now, it's not to say you know, you have an overall overhaul or audit every single time, but it's just again that moment to pause and go, okay, am I, you know, using substances or have an addiction to something that's like a distraction? So you can all think of like alcohol, drinks, drug, whatever it might be. It could be even things like, are you on your phone too much?
Yeah.
Do you have do you have a sex addiction? Do you have a gambling thing? You know, a social media addiction, all this kind of thing. Is when you can pause and go, okay, what's actually what's driving that? Back to your question, why?
And I can relate to that but I got on top of it now. When I was first diagnosed, I put it out there on social media. I don't want to hear excuse me, I don't want to sorry to hear that, I don't want to hear pity or whatever. I'm putting it out there just to let you know this is why I'm being like what I'm being. I will get on top of this. And oh my god, the amount of people that, oh, I loved your post. Well done for saying that. I had this. The amount of people that come back to me and said, I've got the same as you. And it was like, no way. And then all of a sudden, it is mad, absolutely mad. And then I was having a few bad days because it's right at the start and I wanted to just drink and take those thoughts away, the numbness away. And then the next morning I'd feel, obviously I didn't get drunk, but I'd feel I feel really rough. And then I realised that's not actually helping. I'd rather have the thoughts, deal with that, beat that, and feel great in the morning.
Exactly. And that must have all come from just taking a moment to yourself going, hang on, what's this actually doing for me? You know, and that doesn't come easy. We're not just saying, right, snap your fingers and that's it. It's
no,
you know, a lot with this work is literally exhibiting your own self-awareness. It's having that conversation with that subconscious of yours going, what are we trying to do here? And as trite as that might sound, often that comes down to, like, you know, another point on my notes I was making is that often people get wrapped up in terminology, or it's something complicated, or it's something this, but like the best people I've seen that have talked about whatever subject, right, in this space, you know, primarily it was my coach who had a brilliant way of saying, you know, human beings like stories. We like stories, we like examples. We can relate to them, we can resonate with them. We can go, oh yeah, that's me. Whether that's someone explicitly sharing what they're feeling, or there might be a funny example like the shitting himself story. We all like that, and that translates into his the way he talks. Like, you know, check out his podcast is called The Late Challenge. You just YouTube it; it'll be there. His name's Paul. He had a great way of just boiling it down to simple stories that we tell ourselves. You know, another person that I have read a bit about and you know, enjoyed his books and material is Dr. Steve Peters. For those who don't know, he's a psychiatrist in the UK. He's worked with a lot of sports people. You know, I'm a bit of a sports fan, but his aim, that I saw in a recent interview with him, was that people don't want to know necessarily all the complicated sciencey bits and neurology and all that. So his aim is to boil it right down into concepts that we understand. So his most famous work is The Chimp Paradox. Fantastic book. If you've not read it, I highly recommend it. It talks about breaking down what you're thinking and feeling, etc., into a basically 3 character based system. You've got a computer, you've got a chimp, you've got a human. The chimp is essentially the one that tries to break out of its cage. That's our emotions that, you know, rattle out of control, where we the human are trying to control it. But it's like, it's not about trying to imprison the chimp, whatever. It's trying to work the two together with a computer that seems to give all the rules, that kind of thing. All the point is like, this stuff can be easy to complicate, but there are means to simplify it. But even beyond looking into and reading and researching, it's just these simple questions. What do I want? Why? And being kind to yourself.
Yes.
If you want a more complicated answer, you can make it as complicated as you want.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you can make it so deep and so complicated, but it's just the 3 simple questions. And the main question, what do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to get it?
And how do you feel? I would add to the mix.
Yeah. And is there somebody that can assist you in getting there as well? All you need is one person. That one person that'll be coming along is right, stop sitting on your ass, get dressed, we're going for a coffee. Don't have to say anything the whole time you're there. Get out that house.
Indeed.
Or get out that flat. You don't have to say anything to each other. Just give them that time. And you keep doing that and keep doing that, and they will turn around and say, I'm not saying they will say this, but I've been there, I've done that, and it's like, I'm sorry. Well, what are you sorry for? Because I've been like this, right, stop. That is your feeling. That is your emotion. That is what you're going through. You'll find it hard to talk about. You've got nothing to apologise about. The reason I've been coming round is to try and get you to tell somebody, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else or whatever. But you've just taken the first difficult step of saying, this is what's wrong with me. And that is the hardest step. Once you get through that, it does get easier, but it also gets difficult at times as well.
100%.
You can't start talking and think, oh, that's it, be all and end all, I'm going to carry on talking, I'm going to feel great, it's brilliant. No, you're going to wake up one morning. Like, I could open up to you, and tomorrow morning it's just like, what the hell did I say? I wish I hadn't said that. It's so embarrassing. I wish I didn't say it. But why is it embarrassing? You've opened up to somebody. How difficult can that be? And just try and take that next step forward. Don't do what a lot of people say, oh, you need to do this now, you need to... No. Little steps gathers more information, which gathers more results. Big steps does not gather as much information as small steps.
Again, it's down to what do you want. Whatever, whatever action you feel you want to do, even if it's do nothing, that's okay. So we shy away from going, I better do something to look like I'm doing something. You don't need to bullshit yourself. If you don't want to do something today or tomorrow, whenever, that's okay. Yeah. You also have the opportunity to ask yourself, something needs to change here. And that doesn't come easily. People might think, but don't you just slip into a pattern and then do fuck all? You could do, but like I said earlier, there's a range of possibilities. Once you open yourself that like doing this thing isn't the only thing you can do, then it's up to you what you want to do. If that want isn't there, that's okay. You can work on that want being there. So, that goes beyond saying, I want to find a partner or lose weight. Okay, why? dig under it. You doing it because someone told you, yeah, you're looking a bit podgy, you need to lose some pounds there, mate. That's going to do fuck all. You can have a bit of momentum or motivation, and then you self-sabotage. No, you don't. Your subconscious goes, the fuck are you doing? It's like, I'm trying to lose weight. It's like, why? You're getting all your needs met right now. You're not dead, and you're getting what you get to eat what you want. You can laze around watching cartoons or whatever, and it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, been there.
And your system goes, well, that's why you're not changing, because like, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen if you try and do this weight plan or exercise thing. People are telling you it looks good and it'll be good and transformation and yada yada, but until you look into it for yourself and go, okay, what do I want it for? Do I want it for my own health and this kind of thing? Which again, people are quick to emphasize, oh, it's good for you and this kind of thing. Like, yeah, I get that. Until I say to myself, yeah, I'll do it for me. Then your subconscious goes, right, I see what you're up to. So then you'll find you'll do the things you want to do because your subconscious drives it, not because someone else told you to do it. That's why you start towards something. Like, what's the most common resolution people make at New Year's Eve? Oh, go to the gym and lose weight. So what does everyone do in January? Go get a gym membership. All right, what happens mid-January, early February? Everyone's like, oh, fuck this, can't be bothered. They leave. They can't be out. And what do they say? Oh, I'm not gonna. I never stick to anything. I've got no willpower. And you do nothing. Okay. Or you might get that thing, the goal or whatever, and you go, oh, that it. And you look for the next shiny thing to go after. Yeah, honestly. Or and I've got a brilliant example in my space where there's someone I know who took that fitness related goal on for her own scope. It's like, I want to build strength, and she's taken it to crazy extents. Now she does weights, and she does dance now, and this kind of thing. Is like, okay, wow, that's really driven by her. And I also have two other special people in my space where they've been, as women actually, they've been honest enough to share their struggles with what they're going through. And the temptation was there for me to be again that white knight, to go I want to try and help and fix, but that's where my learning and responsibility takes place. Where okay, I can't do it for them. I'm absolutely there, but if they don't want to reply or keep, that's completely up to them. And that took time for me to understand. These are two special people, and I really want to bloody help, but that's up to them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also gives me ideas to help myself first.
You've got a self-love, self-talk, and self-care.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest solution to most issues, obstacles going at the minute.
And just to add to that, again, I think self-care is one of those phrases or ideas that people just maybe gloss over because it's too airy-fairy. But that could literally just mean actually doing what you want to do rather than what people are telling you to. Not in like a wider goal sense, but literally right here, right now. Say someone invited you out to a gathering, a party or something, a family get whatever, and you're like, do you know what, today I'm not feeling it, I'm just going to take time for myself. But you think, oh shit, I better do it, otherwise they're going to be on my case. And you go there with a face and you can't be asked and this kind of thing. It's like, why are you there? Because you want to people please. Where did people pleasing come from? The idea that looking after your own needs is not good enough, so you got to put other people first. It's backtracking to that extent if you want to. But again, going back to the whole point of the chat about we called it men's mental health, and we've gone through the idea of like male stereotypes perhaps driving a lot of this, the idea that as a man you can't talk about any of this thing. Fuck that. I know there are campaigns, especially in the UK, about there's Calm, the campaign Gets Living Miserably, Get Britain Talking, all those are, I don't think they're gender driven. It's like, just whomever you are, just you can get talking, and it's not
get talking about it.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, yes, talking won't just fix everything magically, but it's the start. It's just breaking down the idea you can talk. Whatever you feel is okay. Honestly, even that fits down to why am I here? Even the question of what the fuck am I around for? Why am I here?
Well,
I've contemplated that. Everybody does. That's okay.
Yeah.
So when you can give yourself
You
a
asked
message,
the
it is
question.
okay.
Yeah. Why am I here? Well, let's look into that. It's perfectly fine that you're here. You have got a reason to be here. Let's look into it. Why you're here. You tell me why you think you're here. Basic questions.
And it's okay if you don't feel you know them there and then, because this is where it goes beyond things like toxic positivity. This thing might get dark. It might be hard. You don't have to do it all in one go. Again, add to the point that like we're not meant to have this as an instant fix or a pill based answer or a liquid based answer, whatever. It's I talk about in my space the shadow and shadow work, and that's where your answers are. I don't mean to portray it as like a massive dark exercise where you bring up every shit moment in your life, but it's the idea that like, well, if you want your answers, then that's where they are. And funny enough, when we actually accept that idea of like, okay, first of all, I have the answers, I can accept how I feel, which are two big steps on their own. It's like, now starts the right why, where, all those curiosity based questions, the intrigue questions start. I've got multiple sets of questions that people can ask themselves. Feel free to reach out to me and I'm very happy to share those. But it's just asking yourself where these things come from, and gradually your self-worth just raises bit by bit by bit by bit, to then give you that platform to go, right, what do I need or want to do, without just sticking to a goal. Goals are fine. I'm not saying get rid of them. I know people say you should define goals, and like, okay, but it can go beyond that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And goals are great, like you say, but it also makes it, I've got to do this.
I've
got to do that.
That's right.
And no, you don't have. Yes, you do have to try and do that, but if you don't get there, as long as you've tried.
Nailed it.
And it's just that thing. You've tried to open up about it. You've tried to say this. You've tried to speak to people. That is the main thing. You've tried. Just keep trying, and you will get there.
Exactly. And if you don't, that's okay. You don't have to give yourself a pat on the back saying, well, at least I tried. Okay. But these are the clues that you're giving yourself. When you drill into, like, why do I want something? And you go, oh, okay, and your subconscious starts to work and you work towards it. If you then change your mind about wherever it is you're going after, that's also okay. It doesn't mean you're indecisive or you can't stick to anything. We change our minds all the bloody time. But we're just not brave enough to go, okay, I'll make a change. How many people are probably watching this going, I fucking hate my job. We have a piss and whinge about our boss, and I want to change, but I can't because I've got my kids and I've got... absolutely fine to feel. But if you want to change your job, you can. And if you don't feel you can, that's also okay. You don't need to kid yourself. What you feel is okay. I definitely spent too long in my old job. I burnt out because I'm like, where else would I go? And it'll get better. But I burnt myself out. And then I realised I don't want to make rich twats any more richer than they should be, so went into coaching instead. But it's a lot of this is when you can eliminate all the shite you tell yourself about the worst thing might happen, or the belief, and it's hard. It sounds easy as I'm saying it, but it's just about practice and realize. I call it opening up your possibilities. I'm a bit of a hoper or believer, if you will, probably beyond, sometimes beyond hope, but whatever. But when you open your own possibilities, that's when you go, oh, okay, I can open myself up to that, because now you're dictating it, not anybody else. So
Yes.
whatever you do for you, that's okay. At the moment, you might be coming from a place of where, well, I've got to do everything based on what's around me. You know, back in that race again. We call it a rat race for a reason.
Yeah.
But when we can just go, hold on a minute. That hold on a minute is a great first step. Stop. And then go, right. That's your platform to ask. Why? How do I feel? What do I want? Now it's up to you.
And the thing is, like what you said, the rat race. What will rats do to get to the end? They will climb over everybody. They will do whatever they can to get to the front.
Yeah.
Is that you? Is that really you? Are you happy just to take little steps? So what if you come in last? You've got to where you need to be.
That's it. And you can change it if you want to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a seismic change from one opposite to the other. You can find the balance in the middle. And as you said, like, you know, some people might watch and say, yeah, Vish, it's easy to bloody say, you know, but I've got dependence and I've got this and I've got no time. That's okay. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm not here to revolutionize anybody. It's about the idea that you can open your own possibilities. That's all this is. When you can see possibilities.
The idea is out there.
Yeah.
And that's all this is about.
Yeah. As John perfectly put it when we opened up, this is not to say everybody else is wrong. It's not to say we've got all the answers. It's literally just shining more light, you know. If as a guy, you're sitting there thinking, no, I'm a guy. Anything that has the words as a guy or I'm a man or I'm a male, it's okay to feel that. It's okay. But there is other ways.
Yeah, 100%.
We don't have to subscribe to, you know, I'm a man, therefore
I can't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
You can say. You can.
You absolutely can. But first and foremost, you're a human being. And I think a lot more of us would do well to remember that in the light of today's, you know, pressures and all this kind of thing. So, blimey, we've been going on for an hour now.
Oh, really? Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
That has gone so quick.
Time flies when you're having fun, mate. I tell you that.
It is. I love this. Yeah,
absolutely. And I just hope that whoever's watching and listening takes some heart from this. And you know, look, I would just like to put some closing thoughts about, if you do feel you want some space held, John's great at that. I'm more than happy to help too. Just to touch on what I offer, say coaching wise, I'd literally work with you on your feelings of low self-worth, and we walk together to build your own path to your inner peace wherever you're starting from, and open up your possibilities. You know, my sites and pages are there for you to check out and book some time in with me. John, I don't know if you want to share something similar, if people want to reach out, etc. to you.
Yep. I'm John Hunter. I'm also known as JPH Life Coach on Facebook as well. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time, we have a group which consists of coaches and non-coaches, and we just talk about things with anxiety and anything else that crops up, because anxiety can lead to basically everyday things. Everybody has some sort of anxiety.
Absolutely.
And I'm also looking at, not at the minute, but looking at starting up a group chat for men about what we've talked about tonight in dealing with talking about mental health. But on the other odd occasion, there will be a professional female joining in the conversation as well. Because I think you've got to have that little
balance,
that little thing in there, the conversation. Yeah, that little balance. Not put you off, but put you on that little bit of a uncomfortable position. Oh, there's a female here. I can't say this or can't say that.
Yeah.
So look me up, send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. There are lots of people out there. We can redirect you if we're not suitable, and we're more than happy to help. Or just even if you want to vent on a Zoom chat, I'm more than happy to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's brilliant what you're offering in that regard of just holding the space for people and opening these conversations. And I know that people, certainly I've seen a few comments on the ads that I put out there saying it's really a great topic that you're talking about and more needs to be done in that manner. So, yeah. And also if people are watching or listening to this and they want more of this, do let us know. Like, happy to hear any thoughts or feedback that people have. More than happy to keep this kind of thing going. What else you want us to talk about? And you know, we're toying with the idea of even going live. You know, similar to John's group. You know, we can do a. You know, I have my YouTube channel to exhibit all this kind of thing. So, if people would like more, do let us know. But you know, as closing remarks, you know, I would just say that I know we opened the idea and session about men's mental health. And the fact that it comes from mainly stereotypes, your background, your culture, it's all okay. We're giving you the possibilities to work on it if you want to. There's platforms, places, things that you can do. And fundamentally, you're a human being. Beyond being a man or a woman, you're a human being. That's all that we are. As long as we more connect to each other, it's great. But first and foremost, you can connect to yourself.
100%.
That's all that it boils down to in my eyes.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that, 100%.
John, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I've loved every second of this.
Absolutely. And you know, to everyone listening and watching, be kind to yourself and feel supersonic, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care, everybody. Reach out.